As we celebrate the centenary of the founding of the CPC, we hope to look back at this glorious journey and draw strength to create an even brighter future. First of all, I have the honor to invite His Excellency Ambassador Zheng Zeguang to deliver a keynote speech. Ambassador Zheng, please.
Representatives from British political parties, Lords and MPs, experts and scholars, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good afternoon. It is a real delight to meet you online. In a few days, we will mark the centenary of the founding of the Communist Party of China. Thank you for joining us today to review CPC's journey in the past 100 years and look into the future of China's development. Let me begin with a brief review of the epic struggles and achievements of the CPC in the past 100 years. First, the CPC has led the Chinese people in heroic struggles that brought the nation back from the brink of life and death. We all know since the Opium War of 1840, China has suffered for decades at the hands of invading Western powers and corrupt feudal rulers. The country was torn by incessant wars and falling into pieces. The people lived like slaves and knew nothing but starvation. Generations of reformers and revolutionaries had tried to blaze a new trail and change the fate of the nation. They experimented with various theories, solutions, and systems, but all failed. Inspired by the Russian October Revolution of 1917, which brought Marxism and Leninism to China, the CPC was founded in 1921, giving China's revolution a pillar of strength and the Chinese nation a new leader. By bringing together the basic tenets of Marxism and the practical realities of China's revolution, the CPC made new breakthroughs in both theory and practice. In the ensuing 28 years, the CPC led the Chinese people in heroic struggles to defeat imperialist aggression of Japanese militarists, overthrow the reactionary rule of the Kuomintang, complete the new democratic revolution, and found the People's Republic of China. Since then, the Chinese nation entered a new historic era. Second, the CPC has led the Chinese people in an arduous exploration to build a socialist country from scratch. We all know after the founding of New China, the CPC united and led the Chinese people, all ethnic groups, to complete the socialist revolution and established a basic socialist system. This actually was the most extensive and profound social transformation in China's history. Under the strong leadership of the CPC, the Chinese people worked hard and independently established a relatively well-rounded industrial and economic system during this period. In this process, we have gathered experience on how to build socialism. We have put in place the political premise, institutional foundation, and material basis needed to build a better life for the people and realize national rejuvenation. Third, the CPC has displayed strategic foresight and led the Chinese people in advancing the prosperity of the nation. Since late 1970s, the CPC has been reviewing China's own experience of building socialism and studying the practice of other countries in their development. Based on all these efforts, a historic decision was made at the third plenary session of the 11th CPC Central Committee in 1978 to carry out reform and open it up in China. This pioneering decision was of enormous political courage. And it is also momentous because it set the stage for the trailblazing theories of socialism with Chinese characteristics, which in turn enabled the country to achieve greater economic aggregate, scientific and technological prowess, and comprehensive national strength, and better life for the Chinese people. During this period, China became one of the most open countries in the world, the world's second largest economy, and also the largest exporter. China was also an upper middle income country since then. In a word, the Chinese people took decisive steps towards greater prosperity and strength. Fourth, the CPC has remained true to its original aspiration and is leading the Chinese people to build an even stronger nation. Since its 18th National Congress, the CPC, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, has united and led the Chinese people of all ethnic groups to embark on a new journey. We are implementing the new development concept and promoting high-quality development. This has led to a number of new historic leaps. For example, China today is the world's largest industrial country, largest trader in goods, and biggest destination for FDI. It has the largest foreign exchange reserves, and it has contributed an average of 30% annually to global economic growth for many years in a row. At home, China has made decisive achievements in building a moderately prosperous society in all respects. Our per capita GNI has exceeded $10,000, and the people's life has been significantly improved. In poverty reduction, we have won a complete victory. In the past 40 years or so, we have lifted 770 million rural residents out of poverty. This is indeed a miracle in human history. In terms of social security, China today is running the largest scheme in the world, with basic health insurance covering over 1.3 billion people and the basic pension insurance covering close to 1 billion. An average life expectancy in the country has risen from 35 in 1949 to 77.3 today. We are pursuing coordinated progress in economy, politics, culture, social undertakings, and ecological conservation. We are building a moderately prosperous society, strengthening law-based governance and applying strict discipline in the party. We are deepening reforming all sectors and opening up wider to the world. We're implementing the new development paradigm known as the dual circulation to strengthen the link between domestic and international markets. And we are accelerating the modernization of our governance system and capabilities. With all these efforts, China is making big strides towards building an all-round modern socialist country. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, General Secretary Xi Jinping points out that the CPC pursues happiness for the Chinese people and at the same time regards as its mission to make new and greater contribution to mankind. The achievements of the CPC in the past 100 years bear far-reaching significance, not only to the Chinese nation and the Chinese people, but also to the whole world. Number one, the CPC is ready to share its experience in political party governance. Now, how to run a political party effectively? In the past 100 years, especially since the 72 years as the governing party, the CPC accumulated successful experience and practice, including putting the people front and center, building close links with the people, soliciting public opinion effectively, fighting corruption, and enhancing governance capabilities. These could be useful lessons for any political party from any country. The CPC stands ready to enhance exchanges, carry out dialogues with political parties of all countries, including in the UK. We hope to learn from each other and make progress together. Number two, the CPC is ready to contribute its experience and practice in national governance. The CPC has been improving and developing socialism with Chinese characteristics. It is also working to modernize the nation's governance system and capabilities. These efforts have led to effective governance and comprehensive progress in economy, political, social, and cultural development, and ecological conservation. China has put the people front and center and focus on saving lives during to tackle this COVID-19 epidemic. And the result has been quite obvious. China is the first country in the world to put the epidemic under control and the first to bring economic activities back on track and realize positive economic growth. China has also carried out the largest scale international humanitarian aid in history, providing free vaccines to more than 80 developing countries. They are in urgent need. Exporting vaccines to 43 countries, and giving support and assistance to over 150 countries in their battles against the virus. I think the strengths of the Chinese governance system and capabilities could serve as a reference, constructive reference to other countries. Third, the CPC is ready to contribute its ideas to global governance. China has always been a builder of world peace, contributor to global development, and defender of international order. As we speak, this pandemic is still raging, and it coincides and interacts with ongoing profound global changes that are unseen in a century. We believe the world has come to a critical crossroads in terms of global governance. In the spirit of a community with a shared future, China has been participating actively in global governance and propose our ideas and solutions and contribute to advocate reform and improvement of the global governance system. We will promote a more just and reasonable international order and global governance system. And we are committed to working together with all nations around the world for that purpose. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, while leading the Chinese people to achieve historic leaps, the CPC was subjected to intentional slandering, isolation, and attacks from the anti-communism and anti-China forces in certain Western countries. However, CPC had never been intimidated, had never buckled under the pressure. We remain committed to doing the right thing and following the path of our own choice, because we firmly believed that ours is a just cause, and a just cause is invincible. History has proven this to be true, and we again prove it true. Recently, some politicians in the West, instigated by certain US politicians, once again started a new disinformation campaign against China. They refuse to recognize China's developments and progress and keep pointing their fingers at China and resorting to end this slandering. They turn a blind eye to the fact that China effectively put the COVID-19 epidemic under control in an open and transparent manner and chose to manipulate the issue of origin tracing in an attempt to stigmatize China. They turn a blind eye to Xinjiang's economic progress, ethnic solidarity, and social stability, and stuck a quote and unquote genocide label on China's justified measures to tackle terrorism and radicalization and maintain social stability. They turn a blind eye to the chaos in Hong Kong in the past few years and accuse China of infringing upon the reforms and human rights there when we were only trying to strengthen effective governance, uphold the one country, two systems, and safeguard the long-term stability and prosperity of Hong Kong. They turned a blind eye to the Taiwan independent and separatist moves of the Taiwan authorities and the severe threat of such actions to the peace and stability of the Taiwan Strait. Rather, they blame China for attempting to change the status quo of the Taiwan Strait unilaterally, where it is only justified for China to safeguard its sovereignty and territorial integrity. They turned a blind eye to China's devotion to the purpose and principles of UN Charter and remarkable contribution to world peace and common development. Rather, they trumpeted the so-called rules-based international order to incriminate China. My list can go on and on. This disinformation campaign against China is showing no sign of slowing down. However, accusing China of spreading false information is in fact a cover-up for the political agenda and hypocrisy of the accuser. This is nothing but a farce of thief shouting thief. This farce is already causing a series of negative effects. It is preventing the people of Western countries from knowing the truth. It is misleading people's minds. It is also creating estrangement and confrontation among major countries in the world, which hampers the joint global efforts to fight the pandemic and tackle climate change. The words and actions of those Western politicians have not only hurt the feelings of the 1.4 billion Chinese people, but also undermine the fundamental interests of the people of their own countries. This is totally irresponsible. It will never have the support of the people. Those Western politicians should know that spreading disinformation will not change the facts. Just as the paper cannot cover up a fire. No one should underestimate the ability of the international community to make out what is right and what is wrong. Just as previous attacks against the CPC, this new disinformation farce of some Western politicians is doomed to failure. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, we always believe it is up to the people to choose the path of development that suits their own national conditions. No other country has the right to interfere. The CPC and the Chinese people have strong confidence in the system of socialism with Chinese characteristics. At the same time, we fully respect the independent choices of others for their own development paths. Just as we do not import others' models, we do not export China's model. In our view, exchanges and mutual learning enrich the colors and dimensions of a civilization. Countries of the world should enhance mutual respect, mutual understanding, and deepen mutual trust. China does not ask others to copy China's system, and we resolutely oppose any attempt from outside to force China to change its system, and we firmly reject the deliberate propagation of a so-called new Cold War. We are filled with pride as we look at how far the CPC has come. And we are fully confident as we look into the future. The CPC is now standing at a new historical starting point. China is embarking on a new journey of building a modern socialist country in a comprehensive way. Its high-quality development drive and accelerated dual circulation will create new and more space for cooperation between China and the world, including the United Kingdom. China is not a threat to the UK. Rather, it represents opportunities for cooperation of win-win result. I hope that the UK will seize the major trend of the times, keep in the right direction, and work together with China in the same direction forward. We should earnestly implement the important understanding reached between leaders of our two countries. We must uphold the principles of mutual respect, equality, inclusiveness, and mutual learning. And we should respect each other's core interests and major concerns, focus on cooperation, and handle differences properly. I look forward to joining hands with all of you to bring China-UK relations back to the track of sound and steady development. China and the UK may have difference in history, culture, and development stage. And we approach the same issues, maybe sometimes from different angles. So it is only natural that we do not always see eye to eye on every issue. However, this should not become an obstacle preventing us from engaging in cooperation. Misunderstanding hampers mutual trust, and suspicion prevents cooperation. We should engage in dialogues on an equal footing in order to enhance mutual understanding, reduce misperception, and build consensus and mutual trust. There are huge potentials and broad prospects for practical cooperation between our two countries. We should both work vigorously to expand cooperation across the board, from trade and investment to infrastructure to financial services, and from science and technology to education and healthcare. We should also expand cultural and people-to-people exchanges. In doing so, we can certainly bring more and tangible gains to the peoples of our two countries. China and the UK have significant global influence as well. It is important that we both increase dialogues and coordination on global issues. If we can join hands in fighting the pandemic, promoting world economic recovery, and tackling climate change, we will be able to make even greater contribution to world peace and common development. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, the past 100 years saw the CPC making persistent efforts and continuous progress. As General Secretary Xi Jinping said, for a party that works for the eternal well-being of the Chinese nation, the Centenary only ushers in the prime of life. Under the strong leadership of the CPC, China will embrace an even brighter future and realize the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. We are ready to join hands with our friends here in the UK, share development opportunities, and work for the long-term and steady development of our bilateral relationship. Thank you all.